Morning, Flosstube. I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and it is Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, and I have managed to pull together all but two of my WIPs and all but two of my finishes from 2019, and so we're going to do a finish and WIP parade. The first one is Little Girl with Crocuses. I actually did most of this in 2018. This one was a Janling kit that I got unopened at the thrift shop for $2.25 in my huge crazy thrift shop haul. I think that was shortly before I started videos, so I don't think there is a video of that. We went in one day and someone had gotten rid of a couple dozen cross-stitch kits, and I brought home a lot of them because they were $2.25 each. I love this kit. She is bigger than I expected, which if I had read the dimensions on the kit, if I had looked at the piece of fabric that came with the kit, but sometimes my cross-stitch planning is really surprisingly oblivious. So much white in the dress, and you might remember me complaining about the white in the dress, but overall I just adore her. And another one is Riola's Cat with Clock. This is the first Riola's kit that I started, and I was apprehensive about the fuzzy acrylic wool floss, and actually I'm going to correct myself, and I might have started hedgehogs before this one. This is the first one I finished. And I did it so quick, like 2 weeks start to finish. I dropped everything else I was stitching to work on it. And then a few months later, I did the Cats with Gramophones, which again, I'm nuts about Riola's kits. You know that if you watch my videos. One of my mania starts was The Goblins Will Get You If You Don't Watch Out. I had this kitted up for years and years and would not have started it if it wasn't for mania, so yay mania. I'm going to apologize a little bit for the wrinkles, but there's no way I was going to iron all of these just to hold them up for a quick video. Maybe swearing will help. I think one of my children dumped chili on it because my sewing corner is in the dining room, and I don't know. I'm not asking questions that I know I won't get answers to. I'll try to wash it out. It should wash out. If not, I mean, hey, it goes with the sentiment of the piece, right? Camp Crystal Lake, which Witchy Stitcher pattern I bought off of Etsy. The frame my mom found at a Lions Club rummage sale for $1/4, and this actually was still in its original packaging and intended to be a cross-stitch frame. And I thought I was going to take this out later and put in another sampler, and now I'm wavering because it really looks good in this frame. And everything is sliding off the couch. I should have left it in its box. The Summer Fun bookmark from All Our Yesterdays, a book that I flipped through on a video a while back. I also did another video that shows how I finished the bookmark with the point and the quilting cotton on the back. I love the shading of this one. I want to do like every project in that book. Hedgehogs and Lingonberries, which is one of the kits that I got at the Hobby Lobby clearance sale in 2018, and I probably wouldn't have had the nerve to start except for the stitch along. And I did, and I made a lot of progress, then got frustrated by the confetti stitching and let it sit for a while, and then something clicked in my brain, and confetti stitching is suddenly the funnest cross-stitching thing I can do. So it's finished, and it's in a hoop, and it's living on my fireplace until I find an appropriate frame, and then it's going to go be my daughter's. Because even though she doesn't like cross-stitching and it isn't going to keep my needlework after I die, she wants that one. And something I lost here. Okay, seriously, I had it 2 seconds ago. I love stitching. This one was a mania start, and somehow it did not make it into my list of finishes for the year. I don't know how or why. My tracking for 2019 was just horrible. I'm finishing this one into a project bag for my mom. I already gave it to her as a Christmas gift in a box with some fabric and an IOU, and she's not going to let me forget that. Still not quite done with the back stitching in the corner of the window, but I am still counting crocuses on windowsill as a 2019 finish, and I love it. It's another Realist kit. And once again, cements my love of the Realist kits because they are fun. And now we're going to move on to WIPs, but first I am trying so hard to keep my planning better this year, because I could go through my project trackers from last year and find out if there were missing projects that I finished. But I'm not that motivated to go through and tackle that. Missing from this stack is Open a New Box Every Day, the linen project with the crayons that I will put in a picture for. And the magnetic bookmarks, which I'm pretty sure are in a book. And I'm not flipping through every book on the bookshelf to find them because I think they got shelved. They're here somewhere. My focus projects for right now, moving on to this year, is Pyramid of Skulls, which is a 2019 start. I got the pattern off of Etsy, and I have been thoroughly intimidated by this because the pattern has all the confetti stitching, and the charting has red E's, red P's, and red F's all in the same section. It is like an eye test. And for some reason right now I can handle it. And so until my brain decides that that's not the mood we're in, I'm going to keep stitching on this, and I have made so much progress in a really quick amount of time. So I'm not complaining. The other one is Realist Ripe Apples, because I figured if I was doing so well on the skull, I should pull this out and work on it. This basket weave is lots and lots of browns and grayish browns, and there are only a couple colors that I can look at the stitching and go, oh, that is that color. So it is challenging me, but my gosh, the shading of the apples, it'll be worth it when it's done, and I think that I might have this one finished soon. This was another of the 2018 Hobby Lobby clearance kits. I have All Is Calm, which I got bogged down on this one, and I'll cycle back to it. I love it, and I got this one at the same thrift store where I got Girl with Cosmos, $2. It was in a Ziploc bag with all of it was the bag that comes inside the Dimensions Gold Collection packaging. So it had everything there except the pictures of what it was going to look like when it was done, and I could see that there were trees, and I could see that it looked like a dimensions chart. Took a mild $2 risk that really paid off. I have got the Emerald City Sal, which is another of my Mania starts from last year. This one I believe. I hope, because I haven't printed all the parts of it yet. Freebie from, Owl Forest. Doing it all in DMC and loving it. I have seen some on Instagram where people are using all the specialty threads and embellishment and dyed linen, and I love those more than mine, but we live and learn, and maybe on one of these I'm going to learn how to dye fabric. Universal Monsters Sal, which I am totally behind, isn't the word for it. And Little Girl's Fancy. I started my floss tubing with this, I think. If I hadn't started it before the first video, it was a couple videos after that. I am bogged down, and honestly, I should pull this back to the top of my pile while I'm focusing on the details of the other projects. See, this is good for me. This can help me amend my plans for the first few months of the year. Beacon at Daybreak. It's a Dimensions Gold Petites. I started it at the coast this last spring because why not? I wanted something beachy to remember the trip by. And I did a whole ton of this corner down by the swimming pool while the kids were splashing. It's got lots of good memories tied up in it. It is all the confetti stitching, and because I was stitching down by the pool, I was picking the colors that I thought I could handle at the time, so I've got lots of unstitched stuff to go back and figure out. This is Great Resorts, which is another of my Mania starts, and I did not get far on it at all. It's going to look sort of like that, but I'm planning on changing the colors, and that is part of the reason I haven't been working on it, because I don't know how I'm going to change the colors. Canner's Kitchen, which you have seen here lots of times. There is another jar that's going to go up here, and it's going to have lots of confetti stitching. That's the whole theme of this video, I think. But looking at it, if you remember, there was a charting error down here with the peaches, and part of them was green. There's something going on in this jar, and I don't know what this jar up here is supposed to be. If it's like succotash, so I may have to go back to Acorns and Threads and ask my friends to help me again, because I don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do it. And I'm doing other projects right now, so I don't have to figure all this out at once. This is Morning Lake, another of the Dimensions Gold Collections Petites. This has got like 4 strands of DMC and half stitching on 18 count, and the times I've worked on this, I've struggled with it. Some of these, it seems silly to hold up. Look at this big piece of fabric, and look at those tiny little bit of stitches. That is Cozy Cove, and another Dimensions Gold Collection kit. One that I desperately want to stitch, and one that I got from Mania and did not get much of a start on, but I will be back to it at some point. I don't know when. Here is another great big piece of fabric with a little bit of stitching. This one is going to be Peaceful Countryside by Dimensions. That is I think it's Charles Wysocki, almost positive. I don't know where I got this one. It was a long time ago, and it was either an online swap or a thrift store, because the piece of fabric that it came with, someone had stitched part of the barn here, and I took this piece of fabric from another kit, got just committed enough that there's no turning back, and decided I'd rather be stitching the other kit. So, and because this is an oddball piece of fabric, now I need to go shopping for that. But that is okay. This is the beginnings of what will be Southwest Mesa. Can you tell those are cactuses? This one is actually the very first cross-stitch kit that my husband ever bought me for Christmas. I had asked for a needlepoint kit, and there was some miscommunication, and he went to the craft store and came home with this. I started it that same day. That would have been like Christmas 2000. And started in the middle, got a little bit done, did not know how to grid my fabric, did not know how to sort my floss. The only thing left of that original attempt is the chart, and I am determined I am going to get this stitched. Hopefully this is the try that I get it finished on. It's a lamp. This is the start of Furry Friends, another of the Riolas kits that I got at the Hobby Lobby clearance 2018. And I like this one. I love the clock. I love the books. I'm less wild about the cats. Do you buy pictures for what's in the background? Apparently I do. It was also really super cheap. And so far I've enjoyed stitching on this one. There are just other things that have called to me louder. I think this is the last one. This is the Cuckoo Clock. We're getting down to the big projects. Another Riolas kit. This one I ordered off of Amazon, and I love it. I love cuckoo clocks. And that is almost it for my current WIPs. Surprisingly, I am only missing 2 of them. Mr. Rabbit has been gone since the last time I took a project picture of it, and it's a little 6-inch square of Ada. That is all that is missing, is the stitched piece itself. I hope it is tucked in another project bag hidden with something, but I'm losing hope on that one. And a Caledonian Sky is also missing, but I know I've been taking that one to the laundromat, so it is in a purse or a bag somewhere. I just don't know which bag at this moment. Most of those were Mania starts for this year, 2019, and I really loved Mania because it took off the pressure. I was able to start some of those big things without feeling guilty that after putting in the first couple hours, that I didn't want to keep working on them. So even though Peaceful Countryside and Cozy Cove I'm not likely to work on anytime soon, I'm not feeling bad about that because I got so much done on the other big projects, like Crocuses on the Windowsill. I was not feeling it the first 10 or 20 hours of stitching on that, and then I hit the point where I loved it and could not put it down. So I think of my 20 original Mania starts, I might have finished 5 of them so far. That's not bad. And where I think I'm at right now is I'm going to finish the smaller pieces, the pieces that are close to finished, and then have a free-for-all again for Mania this year. I'm excited about that. And if I do that and I do start 30 projects, I may have to sit out Mania 2021, but I will cross that bridge when I come for it. And I haven't forgotten finish. I was so excited about sharing forgotten finishes, and then I forgot about it. So this one seemed particularly appropriate for today. It is a quilt. It is a couch size throw that I made. I was going to look up the year. I made this with my AccuQuilt die cutter, which is what this YouTube channel started as tutorials for. I just went through a big bin of scraps that my grandma had bought at the thrift store, took all the dark, pretty colors, cut tumblers, and sewed them together. And the reason I pulled this one out to share it today is because I have the past week seen more nasty comments over on Facebook about doing it right or having sloppy results. And it is rubbing me the wrong way. Crocuses in the windowsill, that poor baby has issues. My stitches in some spots they are not what they should be, and I don't know why. I was having a bad day or something, or the floss wasn't laying right, and I love it. I love stitching it. I never thought I was a process stitcher, but I am not worried about if every stitch looks right. If I frame that and I hang it on my wall, okay, some of my Flosstube friends, if they ever came over here, they might look at it and they might notice the problems in my stitching. But I'm like 99% sure that they would not rake me over the coals about that because they're my friends. And I'm apparently never ever going to enter anything in the state fair because I don't want to hear that kind of criticism. So I brought out this quilt because this quilt, well, the quilting, if I may say so myself, I think is pretty damn good. I was looking at it this morning. My corners match. I don't know on this pattern with this fabric, the least important project it could possibly be for the corners to match, because with this fabric you can't see it. My corners match great. What happened with this project is I found the perfect backing fabric. It was from Grandma from the thrift store. I had a chance to make a quilt where everything except for thread and batting came from the same thrift store find. And I was loving that. There was barely enough of this backing fabric to fit the quilt top. And I don't remember what went wrong. All I remember is that I decided to make it work. I lopped off the corner of my quilt top. I don't recommend that. You can do it. It has been, God, an easy 10 years since I made this quilt. I still have no regrets. Now, as I hold this up and I show you how not square this corner is, I mean, that, I would have thought it was a straighter line than that. I don't care. It's got a story. Quilts and projects should have stories. See, this corner's pretty square, the way it's intended to be. This one, and it is a utility quilt. Like I said, it's the size to curl up on the couch with. It is a utility quilt. It was made to be used and worn out and loved and abused. And having the corner lopped off, it just adds to the story that went with it. I mean, it's not much of the story. It's, oh, hey, remember the day that Michelle got so annoyed with her project she lopped off the corner of the quilt? I probably could have patched the back. I don't know in hindsight why cutting the front made more sense than adding some extra fabric to the back, unless I had, sometimes when you're machine quilting you can catch the back will like double up under itself, and it's kind of the equivalent of stitching your project to your jeans. I might have done that and not had the patience to pick it back out. I went back and read my blog posts and I didn't share details. I shared that I lopped off the corner. I didn't share why. But it doesn't matter. It is years ago, water under the bridge. I'm actually putting this in my sewing corner because I had forgotten that this was folded up in the bedroom until I saw it the other day and got thinking about workmanship and doing things right and realized that this is one of my perfect illustrations of why I don't get bent out of shape if things don't come out perfectly. I'm never going to have a piece professionally framed, most likely. I am not going to enter things in the fair. I am doing this because I am having fun, and you know, if you don't like my attitude towards that, you go do your perfect projects. And I am not, don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing anybody who wants their projects to be perfect. You do you. Just don't go yelling at other people who didn't ask for your advice, because that is mean. And I'm going to leave that on that rather cranky note. I'm happy I pulled out all these WIPs because that gave me a really good idea of what I want to focus on, maybe trying to get finished before Mania, although I am totally starting one of those dimensions kits I got for Christmas early. I am totally starting a kit because I want to do that Riola stitch along, and that requires me starting a new start. I'm thinking we will start around about the beginning of February. I'm planning on doing a video where I pull out my Riola stuff and talk about the different threads and types of kits and difficulty level and why I love them as much as I love them. So if you want to start now, please don't wait for me. I'm going to tag it Riola Sal, and I will put the hashtag down in the description so you can see how I am spelling it. I think in a week or so I will have... I have teenage boys screaming about dirty towels in the background, and I think I'm going to leave that in there because I'm not refilming this. I'm Michelle with Michelle's Romantic Tangle. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again very soon.
How am I making you nervous?